Well, in our third top story of the day, France accuses the United States of spying. France summoned the U.S. ambassador on Monday after the French newspaper Le Monde reported using documents from former NSA contractor Edward Snowden that the NSA recorded more than 70 million items from French telephone data. Le Monde says the scale is what is most shocking.
It shows that this spying is absolutely massive over the months, and that some French companies have been under surveillance by the NSA. So these new docs show that in France it's basically the same problem as it was in Great Britain and in Germany. It's under permanent surveillance of the NSA.
Le Monde says the data were intercepted over 30 days and appears to target individuals with suspected links to terrorism, but also targets people in the worlds of business, politics, and the French state administration, and violates the private life of French people. All of this has unfolded as U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry made a planned visit to Paris to hold talks on finding a peace accord in Syria. The State Department did admit to the spying.
It's all about a balance between the legitimate security concerns that our citizens have and the privacy concerns that we and our allies have as well about some of these alleged intelligence activities. It's just a balance that has to be struck, and what we're trying to do right now is figure out where that balance lies, and we'll continue these conversations with the French or other countries if they have issues they'd like to discuss.
Joe Wippl is a former CIA officer and is currently a professor of international relations at Boston University, and he joins us on the phone. Joe, good to talk to you. I want to ask you, first of all, does this revelation surprise you at all?
No, it does not. Initially, the revelation was that NSA collected 1.3 billion bits of data every day. The global fiber optic network is worldwide. So you're going to pick up conversations that are global and worldwide. So there's no surprise at all. No one is listening to these things unless there is a reason to listen to one of these data points. I mean, 70 million telephone calls. How could you listen to 70 million telephone calls in 1 month? And that's just a drop in the bucket compared to all the calls that are made every single day.
Is it realistically possible, Joe, to do this type of surveillance without the cooperation of some government officials? Are the French really surprised about this, or are they saving face with their reaction?
Well, I think they're saving face. I don't know if there's an agreement between the United States and France on monitoring, the internet and monitoring conversations, communications. But if there is, they would respect one another's laws. I think it's much more of an embarrassing thing for the political class. And it's such an unknown to people who actually sometimes do feel that someone is listening in on them when no one is listening in on them.
I'm just wondering, why companies were targeted. I mean, we sort of understand the eavesdropping on potential terrorists, but in this case, there were businesses as well as private individuals. Can you provide any insight into that?
The only insight I can provide is that, that the fact that they collected data on these does not mean that anybody was listening in on their conversations. Although economic intelligence is, a matter of fact, something that all countries engage in.
And so then do you think, I think I know the answer to this question, do you think some sort of line has been crossed here?
Not necessarily in the sense that other countries don't know that countries do things like this. The publication, of course, of this is embarrassing and will encourage some kind of reaction on the part of another country.
Will there be any harm to our relations, do you think, with France because of this?
Well, I don't think so. France has engaged in competitive espionage for a long period of time, and I don't think it's really put much of a crimp in our relationship with France over the last few decades. So I really don't believe so. There's just so many common interests with a country like France. But there would be a lot of interesting intelligence questions regarding France. for instance, its role in the trade negotiations between the European Union and the United States, I think is important for our government to know and to understand.
Indeed. You know, I read one news article that had a sort of an interesting perspective, and that is that they didn't know what France was so upset about because they weren't the ones that had the most amount of data in terms of being spied on. There were other countries that had more.
Yeah, exactly. And that's because those other countries are certainly more important.
Indeed, indeed. All right, we'll leave it right there. Joe, thank you so much. Joe Wippl, we do appreciate it.
Okay, take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.